Yes. 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 And yes. Thank you. And welcome to the Ktng Morning Show. And we are simulcast live on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. I don't know if you can see me on YouTube, but I am that specter that you see right about now. And as always, we put our hands up to receive our prayers every day. I thank Jah for my rise this morning, my ability to help all those who cannot help themselves, to go after opportunities He presents in front of me that are wholesome and good, and to be compassionate toward our enemies, even if they deserve a patada in the culo. Jesus Christ, we say these things to be better people on this planet that He has given us so freely. Jesus Christ, we say these things. Jah Rastafari. Jah Rastafari. Jah Rastafari. Yes, and I do want to thank you all here for coming into the zone, as we call it. And yes, this is the month of what we call African Mental Liberation from the Sport Mystery in Black History Month. The continuing series all through the 28 days of the shortest month in history, human history at that. But nonetheless, people, nonetheless, we are here and we are ready to do this. A Ktng Morning Show early. It is 27 degrees out here today in Colorado Springs. Highs today in the 40s. And let's see, around the horn, they're doing, GoFundMe pages and donations for cops that are getting shot out here. So keep in mind, people, that a lot of times this is not like just criminals acting stupid. For the most part, I have to verify this here that the police here are a little bit more understanding than per se in most cities. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Okay. But other than that, you guys got to realize that not all police are pigs. Okay. Some of them are decent human beings who deserve the right to go home at night. Okay. But if you're, being a jackass and want to be Johnny Too Bad, remember your days will be judged accordingly. Anyway, I want to welcome you all to the Ktng Morning Show. And of course, needless to say, this is how we do it. Welcome to the Ktng Morning Show. I almost fell off the damn chair. Anyway, welcome to the Ktng Morning Show. I am your host with the most, from the right to the left, to the center, to the mountains, to any part of the planet. Yes, that's right. It is the G to the R to the I to the T to the Z, ZSD, underneath the 101 freeway all day. And if you did not know, I am the runner of the show. That's right. The Grits Man is here. The freak on the peak that will open up your mind the minute I speak, because you need the transference of justice and equality in your life, and also not to be mentally weak. Yes, I might have something doper than that to say eventually. Anyway, well, the Ktng Morning Show, and I like to start the thing off with what the hell happened in my day. But it wasn't about my day. It was pretty much what I hear when I walk around and see what people are actually doing, just people watching. And so I ran across a group of kids and everything, and needless to say, it's kind of odd to see, like, little white kids and little brown kids use the N-word like it's nothing associated with anything at all. And so, I can't sit up and say I can blame, hip hop for it. Nope. Can't do that. But you can start with some early editions of it. And, basically how it has, brought down a great deal of esteem of students actually dealing with these sort of things. So, of course, needless to say, we're going to do something about that as far as making you aware of these things. So here it is. My first story is here. School districts drop, quote unquote, To Kill a Mockingbird and Huckleberry Finn over the use of the N-word. All right. Now, record labels can actually do the same thing, but freedom of speech is freedom of speech, right? Right. So I used to know a girl by the name of Tequila Mockingbird. So this is the reason why, this story came up. So if anything, I think Tequila is a very fine person, and she's made a lot of house music in her day. And but this particular To Kill a Mockingbird and Huckleberry Finn was required reading when I was growing up as a kid, going up through high school. But the story goes, a Minnesota school district is dropping 2 classic novels, To Kill a Mockingbird and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, from its required reading list because of the book's liberal use of a racial slur. There are many books in the high school system that have more than just a racial slur, racial stereotyping. More importantly, the pitted position that black people find themselves in literary arts written by white people. So therefore, officials at Duluth Public Schools say the move, which follows similar ones taken by other school districts in Virginia, Mississippi, and Pennsylvania in recent years, was a response to complaints that they have received in the past. Books are still available in libraries and students can read them on their own time, but school officials will look at other novels on the same topic to add to its curriculum. Michael Carey, Director of Curriculum and Instructions, told the Duluth News Tribune, quote, he felt that we could still teach the same standards and expectations through other novels that didn't require students to feel humiliated or marginalized by the use of racial slurs. Carey, who was not available for comment Wednesday, told the newspaper. Harper Lee and Mark Twain didn't shy away from using the N-word when they wrote the American classics. Both books have historically been among the American Library Association list for 100 most frequently challenged books. Twain's The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, a story about a poor white boy and a slave, most recently made the list in 2015 when a group of students in Montgomery County in Pennsylvania said the use of the N-word made them feel uncomfortable. Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, a book about racism in the United States, has long been targeted for removal from libraries and schools. In 1966, the school board in Virginia invited the ire of the Pulitzer Prize-winning author who mocked the board in a letter to the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Oh, God. He goes, surely it's plain to the simplest intelligence that To Kill a Mockingbird spells out in words of seldom more than 2 syllables a code of honor and conduct, Christian in its ethic, that it is the heritage of the Southerners, Lee wrote. To hear the novels is immoral has made me count the years between now and 1984, for I have yet to come across a better example of doublethink. Okay? I feel, however, that the problem is more illiteracy than Marxism, she added. Therefore, I include a small contribution to the Beetle Bumble Fund that I hope will be used to enroll the Hanover County School Board in any first grade of its choice. Free speech organizations have strongly criticized the decision to ban the books from classrooms and libraries. In a statement Wednesday, the National Coalition Against Censorship urged Duluth Public Schools to reconsider. While it's understandable that a novel that repeatedly uses a highly offensive racial slur would generate discomfort among some parents and students, the problems of living in a society where racial tensions persist will not be resolved by banishing literary classics from the classroom. On the contrary, the classroom is where the history, use, and destructiveness of this language should be examined and discussed. So, if we're starting this off in the school districts of like banning a couple of books, how is it that we cannot ban, our El Presidente cheeseburger from doing the same thing? I mean, free speech is free speech, right? But when you're banning books and so forth, you're taking away what? Probable, a look into the history. there's a lot of history that uses the N word in a lot of books, dating all the way back from like, whenever they could first write them, up until now, even still. So it kind of, almost cracks me up that, the main people offended in such ways are no more than, people who basically have never had a chance to get up and write their own books. All right. Now that's the one thing that I do want to say, that we do have literary stars who can write better than that. All right. Now, because of the notification here that you got that this is the African Mental Liberation from the Sport Mystery and Black History Month, I'm compelled to let you people know that there are better books by African American writers that you can actually check out and see. Now, historically, for the most part, a lot of black people just do not know these authors at all, unless they're Zane or something like 50 Shades of Grey or half a shade of what? Half a shade of black. I don't know. you figure this shit out. All right. So to celebrate Black History Month, let's share a few extraordinary African American science fiction, fantasy, and horror authors with you. All right. Let's go with Samuel Delany, born April 1st, 1942. No designation of whether he died or not, but he's still living. So Samuel Chip Delany has the distinction of not only being the first known and notable African American sci-fi author, but also the first openly gay sci-fi author as well. He won both Hugo and Nebula Awards for his work, and it has had Ralphs. Okay. Octavia Butler. This is a woman now. June 1947 to February 2006. She passed away recently. Taken from us far too soon, Octavia Butler made a deep impression on all those fortunate to have read her work. You may read tributes to her by fans, friends, and critics, but nothing speaks more clearly than her words. As an author, she neither ignored her roots, nor was she defined exclusively by them. She wove many strands from her experience and education into the tales, and added her own vision of what might be and what could be with powerful and lasting images. Unafraid to face social issues, yet never preaching or allowing that passion to overwhelm her storytelling. The most of her popular novels is Kindred, a time travel story that author herself describes as grim fantasy, bringing a 20th century African American woman in touch with both her black and white ancestors during the slavery era. In a more of a science fiction rather than fantasy style are the Patternist series, beginning with Paternoster, Lilith's Brood, a Xenogenesis trilogy, and the Parable series. Here's another one, Stephen Barnes, born in 1952 in March. This versatile writer has co-authored numerous novels with sci-fi great Larry Niven, produced media tie-in novels for Star Wars, Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and has nearly a quarter of his screenplays produced. His own standalone novels, such as Great Sky Woman, Lion's Blood, Zulu Heart, cover a breathtaking range of subjects and backgrounds, and are all fast-paced action-adventure, fantasy, and science fiction tales. In addition to all of the science fiction and fantasy novels that he has written, he's also done the Tennyson Hardwick's mystery series with actor Blair Underwood, and this series is also in many ways groundbreaking territory. Is it any wonder that he's married to one of the very best science fiction writers of any race, namely Terry-Doo. Tananari Due, born in 1966, is one of my favorite writers. That is a lot because I can be quite picky. When she began her career in writing, it was as a journalist, and it was still working while she was working in that field that she wrote her first novel. Her books often veer into horror and the supernatural. They do so in such a way as to blur the borders between what we think of as real and natural in the natural world with the other more elusive but no less substantive world that lies beyond our reach. The Between, My Soul to Keep, The Living Blood, all push the boundaries and do so with the beauty and language that I see as hers alone. I don't want you to think of these as pretty books. They deal with some very difficult and painful subjects. She has us go to uncomfortable places in her own psyches at times, but never without good reason. Her most recent novels have been mysteries and were co-authored with her husband, Stephen Barnes, the actor Blair Underwood. Fortunately, for those of us who enjoy fantasy and horror, she has not abandoned the field, having written Blood Colony in 2008. L.A. Banks, born in 1959 in December. Leslie Esdale Banks has written many different genres as the other authors I've mentioned so far, but she's best loved for her dark fantasy, paranormal, and horror novels. The Vampire Huntress Legend of series alone has 12 novels and seems to be marching on. Then there are the Crimson Moon novels, the Dark Avenger series, both successful. Miss Banks does not shy away from sex and romance in her books, but neither does she use them as a substitute for plot, and as lesser authors have done. What is especially fun about her work is her being straight up about the battle of good and evil. No hand-wringing or soul-searching. Her novels are action-packed, and they don't come with excuses and second-guessing. Alea Dawn Johnson is another woman. Sister Johnson is one of the younger rising stars. Her work spans both YA and adult fiction. Her award-winning speculative fiction author first came to the reading public's attention with her Spirit Binder series. She garnered more accolades with her forays into urban vampire fantasy in Moonshine and Wicked City. More recently, her dystopian science fiction novel, In Love is the Drug, won the award for young adult science fiction and fantasy. Her high-tech sci-fi thriller, The Summer Prince, has also been well received by readers and critics alike. All in all, she is breaking through old stereotypes with style and grace. So these are like your top, science fiction, horror movie writers and so forth, and they're all black. Okay, you may have seen their works and being done as a derivative by white writers, but then too, there is a whole list of noted black authors, particularly in that field. So there's more than 5 countable. I'm talking about David Durham, Walter Mosley, Charles Saunders, R.A. Baker, George Schuyler, Joel Gomez, Nalo Hopkinson, Anthony Beale, Ishmael Reed, Judith Colombo, Charles Johnson, Nede Okafor, N.K. Jesmond, Brandon Massey, Milton Davis, Bologun Ojede, Valjean Jeffers, Tina Anson, Sarisa Glass, D.K. Gaston, Jeffrey Thorne, Wendy McNair, Torrey Nelblick, Devan Sanders, C. Michael Forsyth, Michelle Nichols, Phyllis Perry, and Edward Uzel. So there's a lot, people. There's a lot that you can actually break through the stereotypes of this, fanatical African mental liberation and diasporic mystery in Black History Month. Okay? So if anything, there are better books to read that predominantly don't use the M word so proficiently as our overcast writers that we are so enthralled with and say, they're library traditions. Okay? Well, it's time to break those traditions and find better books to read by those who are inspired to write them. And when you do find these books by these authors, by all means, check them out, read them, and make a collection of them. Because I guarantee you, in many cases, a lot of the stuff that you read in their books, probably the same as what you're watching on TV, especially on Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Backstory. Yeah, we got in. So we can get in more so intellectually, a lot easier than you think. But don't let that eschew you from the things that are happening in this lifetime, in this human diaspora. Okay? So it is the children that I'm facing today, and therefore I must also face a part of this diasporic history of ours of what adults do to children. Okay? Now we all know that human trafficking, pedophilia, and basically making them drug mules, tying them into like an early portions of gangs and whatnot, is like inhuman, totally inhuman. Okay, but when it's run its course, what happens then? What happens to those children that have been through all of that? Where do they go? story of basically, oh yeah, more than what? That's right. More than 300 child soldiers in South Sudan. So what does that have anything to do with the story itself? Okay, well, I'll explain. Yambio, South Sudan, more than 300 child soldiers were released Wednesday by armed groups in South Sudan, the second largest such since the Civil War began 5 years ago. The laying down of the guns ceremony for 87 girls and 224 boys was the first step in the process that should see at least 700 child soldiers freed in the coming weeks, the United Nations said. Putting down weapons and rejoining normal life is just the beginning of the journey, said the head of the UN mission in South Sudan, David Shearer. More than 19,000 children are thought to have been recruited by all sides since the Civil War broke out in 2013. The UN has released almost 2,000. More than 10% of them have been under the age of 13. These are children who have not had, pretty much a very idyllic lifestyle per se here in the United States. But see, what Sudan and a lot of the Congo area don't realize is that they're sitting on their own wealth. They're fighting, they're pouring blood all over the land when there's so much wealth underneath it that they can mine an ore and sell very highly to the European benefactors that have already colonized the country itself and have left there. All right, so therefore, the turning of Africa from black to white to colonist white to okay, let's just make sure we have true Africans here who are born from the blood of the land. Okay, now that sounds like what we do here in the United States by putting up a wall to stop Mexicans from coming in, right? Oh yeah, that's right. ICE will trick your parents into leaving. Also, they're trying to get CIA privileges. Okay, ICE is trying to get CIA privileges under the Cheeseburger administration. Good luck with that. Anyway, human rights groups say child recruitment continues even as South Sudan's government says it has committed to ending the practice. Okay, so they basically have these kids out here fighting grown man wars, scarring children for life with post-traumatic stress disorder, and then the resiliency of the child from that particular point now is going to be how to respect life. Okay, and when children grow up respecting life, they tend to be more so on that avid of understanding that if you are taking a human life, you're taking a part of that soul with you. And for no reason whatsoever, you're giving a part of your soul to that murder. Okay? And that stands as a testament to your own judgment. Now these kids will be blessed. They will be blessed above those who persecuted them and bullied them into this entire position. Okay? So if anything, a lot of these boys and girls are going to have to go through refugee camps, find relatives or anyone and so forth to take them in and adopt them as family. But see, that's the one thing about the African community in Africa that I love so much. It matters not. As long as you're a part of the family, they accept you within the village. Whereas here, you better have a resume, you better have your daddy papers, so that way your child support comes in, you better have, that sort of shit, okay? You better make sure that your kids are not in DCFS or in foster care or for that matter and all that mess in order to be adopted into another family. Hopefully legally, or not by the birth of a bastard kid, one or the other. Anyway, speaking of speaking of kids altogether, Black Lives Matter is fatally shot in Louisiana. This is like 7 hours ago from the New York Daily News. It appears that Black Lives Matter activists went viral for trying to take down the Confederate flag during the protest on live TV was fatally shot in Louisiana on Tuesday, according to police. Muhyiddin Mr. Moyer, who is also known as Muhyiddin Adibaha, was shot in the thigh while riding his bicycle around 1:25 a.m. Where were you coming from at 1:25 in the morning? Okay. New Orleans police told the Advocate he was taken to the hospital where he died from excessive blood loss, according to his niece, Camille Weaver, who set up the GoFundMe page to raise money for his funeral. Police have not released any information about potential suspects or possible motive, if any, behind the shooting. The man got shot in the thigh. The femoral artery can be snapped, and therefore that thing will contract, broke rubber band to the heel of his toe, all the way down to the heel of his toe, and basically into his hip. So that was a calculated shot. That was not just some random shot. That was a calculated shot. Somebody knew how to shoot this man right then and there. So here's the exposure on that. Because Louisiana has also had a case of human trafficking done by an FBI agent's son, and no one can find this man's body parts at all, gives leeway to say that yes, there are agents of the government that are sitting in Louisiana right now watching you. Okay? Moye, a Black Lives Matter leader in Charleston, South Carolina, was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct last year for trying to snatch a protester's Confederate flag. Moye was captured on live news broadcast last, seeing himself across police tape grabbing the flagpole and trying to wrestle it away from a protester outside of College Charleston. So therefore, members of the South Carolina Secessionist Party were protesting a speech by Bree Newsom, a filmmaker and activist who famously brought down the Confederate flag outside the South Carolina State House. Moye mourned his death on social media and remembered his work as an activist. Lindsey King wrote, "What an incredible soul. I knew Moye over 10 years ago when he was already so wise and already bringing so much love and light to the world. Knowing him inspired me to walk my own path and search for truth with a passion. I'm positive his impact on the world and the lives he touched will continue to ripple and spread immeasurable light in the world forever," she added. Chandra Scott wrote, "You will be missed, and we will continue your work and preserve your legacy." So a GoFundMe page was set up, and they've raised more than $14,350 so far. What does this tell you, people? What does it tell you? Why are we so interested in killing our own heroes? Why? That's what I want to know. Why? Why do we do that? Okay? Why do we do that? Why do we do it? Why do we spend so much time, killing our heroes, or having our heroes killed before they reach to an age of wisdom and understanding? Okay? Here was Mr. Moye, gunned down, shot in the thigh, too much blood loss, femoral artery was hit, was calculated, all right? And you mean to tell me no one has caught this terrorist? No one has caught this terrorist at all. It's almost embarrassing, to say the least, that the police departments don't find, the ravagers of black males, specifically in this country. Yes, this toilet of a country that we all live in. And so therefore, I question, is the use of the N-word an arbitrary thing or a cultural thing, or basically a way of saying this is the only way we can identify with the lower class? I mean, has it gone that far to the point where we are using it as a term of endearment in the lower classes? If that is true, then how is it that I can float around and say like different areas of society? It doesn't matter whether it's from the rich to the small end of it. That in many cases, it doesn't even have to be in my presence or not. Just earshot. That's all it takes. And I got some pretty damn good hearing, especially when it comes to hearing conversation that is not totally my own. Okay? There's spaces in my head, to do certain things. But for the coverage of it and everything, we're covering, why the N-word is such, a historic monument to everybody, especially when, we have risen above that. I would like to think so. But in the hood, okay, and when you have hood speak, it's been a fantasy for a lot of the prior white generations to sit up and have what they call bad Negro music in their house. Can't help it if your teenagers made rock and roll what it is today. We just made the damn music. Now, everybody and their mama gonna start crying about hip hop being the cause of the N-word, right? No. See, in our communities and so forth, using it even still amongst each other is demeaning. Okay? It's marginalized. I'm a human being. I'm supposed to be expansive. I'm supposed to be everywhere and all over the place like a bad peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's what we're supposed to be. Okay? We're supposed to be everywhere. Okay? That's what human being to me means. But when you marginalize my status, my nature, my character, my overall outward external appearance, you try to marginalize me with, the knuckle dragging, pants sagging, suspect sagging, I might say. Yes, the tradition comes from out of prison saying that you're available, idiot. Okay? And don't say that you got swag, because SWAG means secretly we are gay, so I'm not. Okay? I'm not gonna play into that. Ever have your mom do this? Lick the side of your face and so forth? Because you got up looking like crispy bacon. Crispy bacon! That sort of thing. Okay, people, it is near the halfway point here. And you are watching simulcast presentation of Ktng Morning Show. That's right, getting your morning sucker punch. There you go, morning sucker punch. DJ Sucker Punches on the ones and twos. Says save your nuts. Yeah, save your nuts, really. Save your nuts. Okay, we're not talking about, your testicles here. We're talking about your nuts. Okay, your nuts up here. All right, that's what he means. Now, for everybody that's basically taking it out of context and so forth, that's the responsibility of the squirrel. All right. Anyway, we're at the halfway point. Make sure you guys are watching this on YouTube. Make sure you follow us through 2018. Subscribe to the website that is becoming omnipotent. Okay, we just got 52 weeks of traffic on we got a whole year's worth of traffic on, say, like the radio station. So we're working out those contracts. Those will be done and signed today. Yay! That's right. And still picking up like residuals from the book that I sold. So that's a happening thing. So I'm still alive to a certain extent, or until I get in trouble and I start asking for all kinds of weird things. Anyway, let's continue with our stories here and see why children are today's subject in the African mental liberation from the sport mystery and Black History Month. Okay, I know that's a hell of a tag. That's a hell of a tag to brand. Anyway, let's see. There is another story here that I'm pretty much interested in, and I'm trying to figure this out. So forth. San Juan County Sheriff's Office shows a picture of William Atchison. Okay, the Southern Poverty Law Center has included Atchison of Aztec, New Mexico, on a list of assailants. The organization says we're influenced by the alternate right, a fringe movement that represents a mix of white nationalists, white supremacists, anti-Semitic, and anti-immigration beliefs. So this is a person who basically, this is just an average white guy who got basically influenced like ISIS. Okay, and yet still here in America we cannot call our murderers or decapitators or killers or people who cause harm terrorists. No, they're anything but that. So we try and gloss it over as much as possible. And we do not see these, terrorist activities as terrorism themselves, yet we are so pin-binged on not allowing people into the country who have been stereotypically marginalized by your grand cheeseburger, O.L. Grando, okay? I mean, it's almost embarrassing to the point of saying, well, dude, you mean to tell me we can commit all this crap about human rights abuses, and for once, when we have our own in-ground terrorists, we don't label them as terrorists, now do we? No, not at all. Why not? Why not? They commit the same amount of crime, they commit the same amount of murder, they commit about the same amount of destruction, okay? And all of that is not physical, all that's internal. And to internally cause that much destruction to one's soul is punishable by cowardice. This jackass, he basically took his life. He took his life after he shot up a whole school full of kids, all right? And most people are sitting up there saying, yes, it is racially motivated. Of course it is. Where else are you going to find, like, you know, kids of different ethnic abilities in the social climb when all of a sudden you have nuts like this guy, William Atchison, going into somebody's school and basically just, you know, shooting up kids who are either brown, black, or white, doesn't matter. He's just shooting up children. And here, we do nothing. Every month, there is, just about every month, there is every other month, there's like some sort of, you know, shooting of like innocents. And people who are basically unclear about the New Mexico shooting now see it as a racial component of why the alternate right may be a little bit more dangerous as a conglomerate than anything else. So therefore, do we really want to question what goes on in our feral-minded El Presidente? Of course we need to question that, because if we don't question that, we do not question those who are trying to erase history and make a better present for themselves as opposed to what we know now. The subjugation of our own drug addictions? Wow, that's brilliant. Our addictions basically are the reasons why we never progress. Consumerism keeps us trapped like a fly in a Venus flytrap. And you know something? A lot of you still love it. You still do. Things and materialism do not define a human being. What defines is their character, their soul, the courage of their soul. All right? So, because of this, all right, because of such actions against children are just fodder for, say, mainstream media. You know, it doesn't come under question of our own government. It's like, look, we may have future wars, and if you don't have people young enough to go in to fight these wars for you, you know we're going to wind up losing the planet at some particular point, right? Yeah. Got a bunch of old senior citizens saying, charge! Let me put my false teeth in. My Fixodent is not working. Charge! That sort of crap, right? Great spirit, great ideal, bad implication. Okay? So, here it is again. You know, that again, the United States is more interested in killing people than finding a resolution for them. I mean, come on. If the supplies to Puerto Rico were like, you know, sacked with rats and everything, then how is it that they stand to get like $5.4 billion in Medicaid? And you got people here that can't even get that without some sort of like stupid, you know, paperwork that has to be signed and sent in, and you have to go back and forth to clear everything up. You know, that's an easy. Yeah, you get wiped out, and you get free Medicaid. I'm not mad or anything like that, but you know, my whole thing is that, you know, you got to be kidding me. After so much, and then you guys pull out, and they still probably have like about 30% of the island without power. You know, if you got Budweiser sending water in cans. Brilliant. Not like we could have, like, you know, just said, oh, look, you know, why don't we just take you people off the island for a hot minute, we rebuild this shit, and you guys go back. Okay? Instead of trying to figure out, you know, how to, you know, spin it from that direction. That's almost hilarious. It really is. It is almost hilarious to a certain extent. You know, that's what I find hilarious. And we are having technical problems this year. So anyway, our next story here. Death at Mexico border has increased under cheeseburgers groupings. Okay, so there it is. An increasing number of migrants have died at the border between the U.S. and Mexico during the first year of Cheeseburger's presidency, even as arrests have dropped. UN's agency, International Organization for Migration, recorded 412 migrant deaths in 2017, a 3% increase from the 398 recorded the previous year, according to figures compiled by the IMO's Missing Migrant Project. U.S. Border Patrol, however, reported a sharp decrease in detentions in the Southwest. According to IMO figures, authorities caught 341,000 migrants over the 2017 calendar year, compared to the 611,000 apprehensions and in 2016. These figures show an even higher drop than that declared by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency last month, which used the fiscal year 2017 as its time framework, which is called buttering the books. Okay? That's called buttering the books. Okay? If anybody's buttering the books and so forth, then 9 times out of 10, this basically to save their fiscal ass. All right? So the increase in death, okay, the increase in death, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I have 2 things going on here at the same time. Okay, go. Enjoy. Okay, so the highest number in a single state is recorded in Texas, where 191 migrants were dead last year. Among them, the 10 migrants whose bodies were found in the back of a trailer truck containing 38 people, including children, in July. Okay, so it's kind of like indicative. Kind of indicative. Why is this thing? There you go. Thank you. Jeez. Things I do, man. Things I do. So you have a lot of you have a lot of people basically trying to make it through Mexico, through Texas, through Arizona, through Utah, through Colorado. And there's millions, I mean thousands of freaking miles of like wasteland to go through. Okay? Really. So here it is. Another part of the reason why the M word is basically used frugally to, the blissful ignorance of our youth today. Here, as well as the racial components against our youth of color, we also find that there's death. So my only question is this. If we're so content on using the N word, various cultures can actually use the same word, make it mean something completely else, different. Then let me ask you this: if that's the case, then why is it that when we're basically out killing each other, it makes a little bit of news? Those who oppress us kill us, and then show us the reasons that they are still killing us, and we do nothing about it. I think 9 times out of 10, most of our protests are a little bit misguided. They have to be. From what power are you deriving these from? Equality and justice? No. Or are you just basically out there trying to say something that needs to be said, and therefore have not made the proper, have not taken the proper steps to utilize ideology of democracy against those who further persecute you. Invoke state law, invoke local charter law, invoke natural law, invoke the law of the land. Okay? The first thing of any damn protest group should do is learn your freaking rights. All right? And learn what you can do with those rights, and learn what you can do with your laws. Learn how to lobby. Okay? It does not hurt to go up and say, like, look, I want to know something about, I want to know something about human rights and how many violations are being broken in my city. Okay? By racist cops, by racist people in general. Okay? This country was built on the foundations of racism. Every single generation they try to push it out of the way as though it didn't happen. And of course, the best criticism is that, oh yeah, slavery was good for black people. Yeah, sure it was. Sure. We built the damn nation. What benefits do we get? Our lives, that's a benefit. Wow, if that's the freaking case and whatnot, I should be able to capitalize the other 2 times that I basically, came close to death itself. I'm not bragging about it, but if you got guardian angels watching over you and so forth, by all means, be blessed that you do. But the fact of the matter is this: that people have all this self-hatred for themselves, and then they want to imbue that onto their children, and their children imbue that learn that from the peers that they walk with. Then maybe the child will basically says, hey, the Illuminati membership is up after the market crash, right? Then, if that's the case, what we have here is a diasporic measurement of how, a diasporic measurement of how children can basically make up their own minds and become the beings that we hope and pray for that will make this world a better place. But if we're so vested, if we have such a vested interest, okay, if we have a vested interest to keep, the racism going, then what do we send to what do we show to the rest of the world? That, the last bit of great white hopeness is going to die in Central America somewhere? I mean, Central United States, that sort of thing. Or you might just get booted out altogether. Maybe if the Indians just rose up and say, okay, we're going to be one unit. And they decide to roll up on Washington and says, okay, first of all, let's get rid of the Indian names in the NFL. And then we're going to get rid of your ass. All right? If Indian casinos ever got together and started building Mayflower ships and whatnot, I guess 9 times out of 10, you would feel that level of racism, wouldn't you? You would feel that, right? Okay? As opposed to continuing on with the stereotypes and the racist notions that we can't be better. Now, if I didn't read off a list of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy writers that were all African American, obviously you're still believing your own hype as being someone who lives in the impossible. As someone who can't see beyond, the opportunities that are laid before you, or turn those circumstances into ideal situations that work for you. But if you're stuck on stupid, by all means, I am not going to stop your party, and nobody else should, for that matter. All right, and that's probably one of the worst things that people can actually do is remain in that level of stupidity. I'm serious. It's almost embarrassing. It's almost really embarrassing because, just when the lower life forms of the knuckle draggers and so forth lift up their spirits and say, okay, yeah, we're gonna do something. Yeah, we're gonna do what we've been doing for the last 400 years, which is have a barbecue. Okay, we're gonna have a barbecue, and we're gonna celebrate what? That we get beat down, that we're getting shot, that we're our victimization. And we're imparting it as a way of getting in closer to our culture, and then, and taking away the power of the words that we use. Okay, we lost our religion, our culture, our God. Many of you, by the way, you actually even lost your freaking minds. Still to this day, the torch has not been passed. And since the torch is not being passed correctly, guess what? We're doomed to make the same mistakes over and over again. That's what we do. That's what we do. And we're going to continue this crazy cacophony of bullshit because we don't know better than that. That's right. Yes, I am acting silly. Tana Mason, good morning. Join the conversation if you dare. But I doubt seriously if anybody can actually answer my question for today. I'm serious. My question for today is simple. Okay? If you could you break your brainwashed auditory use of the M-word for one rap song, one moment of your day, or click of mixed none? I'm taking all bets. And I guarantee you before the end of this day, somebody's going to wind up doing it. It's a sucker's bet, but what the hell? Anyway, as it seems that we are doing pretty decent here this day. And it's got, connection issues as always. Come on here, goofball ass machine. Love it. Anyway, as you all know, Flash is my man and so forth. Flash! 2 times. Ding, ding. Just like that. Flash does it all, baby. He does it all. He's the good man. He's a good man. Flash drive. Anyway. As also reported, let's see, I think it's, the Olympics are starting. So if there are any missile attacks or bomb threats and so forth, by all means, the wolf stop today. I want to see who's going to be bold enough to push the button. All right? We talked all this crap, talked all this trash, Rocket Boy and like Cheeseburger, y'all done talk all this trash. Okay? Let's see who's bold enough to step over that line. Okay? See who's bold enough to step over the line. I want to see it. Come on, let's go. Let's do it. Let's do it. We talk all this crap, and now you want to have a military dog parade? Dude, you can't do it. You got 2/3 of your military force and all over the daggone planet playing policemen. Okay? That sort of thing. Anyway, I do have a bit of good news here, and I always like to end our show here with a bit of good news. And from News and Observer in Raleigh, North Carolina. Okay, it's a happy story here about the perseverance of our culture, but more importantly, how we should, as people, in general, how how we are supposed to be made to live better than, what we perceive ourselves for, or what people perceive us to be living for. All right. So she's happy, she's busy, she's happy, she's having fun, and she's now 100 years old. Okay. Raleigh, North Carolina, as Millie Dunn Vesey, a military and civil rights pioneer and member of the greatest generation, celebrated her 100th birthday. The inevitable question came up: what's her secret for living a long, productive life? Quote, I can't remember. What did I say? Vesey said, throwing her head back and laughing merrily. Oh yeah, always have fun, stay busy, and be happy. Simple life quote. A simple life quote. Nearly 50 people gathered at the North Raleigh restaurant to honor Vesey. Vesey did not hesitate to share their thoughts about her. Many people have stepped up and said she's an angel. Said Herbert Keith, an Air Force veteran who did 2 tours in Vietnam and who will turn 80 in March. Sharon Campbell, a 55-year-old retired Army First Sergeant who served from 86 to 2015, said Vesey's service was important, especially for black women. Quote, she is an enlisted soldier and she left the military as staff sergeant. Campbell said, most women don't make that rank, especially black women, because of education. That's how you get your rank in the Army. Education, people. Education is key. If you don't want to learn anything and you think you know everything, by all means, you will trip yourself up and learn a very valuable lesson called the inactivity of your life. Okay? All right. So, Raleigh native, and one of 6 children, she graduated from Washington High School in 1942 and enlisted in what was then known as the Women's Army Auxiliary Corps. That's not supposed to happen. Oh yeah, never mind. That is supposed to happen. Anyway, what am I reading here? Okay. There we go. Anyway, she didn't weigh. She says she didn't weigh no more than 102 pounds and didn't know how to tie a tie. She wrote in the living history of her life. Vesey enlisted with 3 other African-American women brought from Raleigh. All 4 were stationed in Colorado for basic training, so they were stationed here in Colorado. Boing, boing, boing. That's another one. She goes, the first time I remember lying in bed, the sergeant came up and said, what are you doing? And she says, it's raining. I can't do drills in the rain. Sergeant says, get up. The Army doesn't care if it's raining. Okay, that's boot camp. But during World War II, she was a member of the 688 Central Postal Battalion. Unit was only all-black, all-female battalion to serve overseas. Vesey served in France and England with the unit, which sorted and routed mountains of mail for millions of American service members and civilians. Vesey said the most memorable moment of serving in the Army was VE Day, the official end of World War II in the European theater. She was on leave in London beneath Big Ben when the Allies declared victory. The church bell rang, and the clanging and the changing of the guards in front of Buckingham Palace, all the horses, the parade, all the pomp and circumstance that they do in England. Standing on the Big Ben, she said with a proud laugh. Vesey was selected for officer candidate school at the war's end, but she discharged in 1945 to continue her education. She returned to Raleigh to attend St. Augustine's College on the GI Bill. She graduated in 1953 with a degree in business administration and a minor in English. She taught business education and 8th grade English in Matthews, Virginia, then came back to Raleigh, where she worked as secretary to St. Augustine's President James Boyer before retiring in 1986. She and her husband, Warren Vesey, have 2 children, Juanita and Warren Jr., who both live in California. After joining the NAACP, Vesey eventually became the first woman president of the organization's Wake County chapter. In 1966, at the height of the Civil Rights Movement, she hosted the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. at her sister's home during his visit to Raleigh. Quote, I found him to be the most remarkable young man, Vesey said in a short film on UNC TV last year that chronicled her 99th birthday. Always with dignity, and was always interested in what you were doing and what the individual was doing, and to inspire more, unquote. On VC's 98th birthday, a flag that had flown over the state capitol building was presented to her by her former North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory. She also cherishes a flag that was given to her by former President George Bush, and she met former President Barack Obama at a presidential town hall meeting at Fort Lee, Virginia in 2016. She's getting around, okay? Quote, he walked over to me with a big smile, and I jumped up and I said, I have to get up to salute you. I'm proud to stand with the women of the military today. I want to salute you as the commander-in-chief. He saluted me, I saluted him, and it was just a thrill. He was wonderful. It was a visit of a lifetime. Try to do that with Cheeseburger today and see what the hell happened. Oh, get rid of her. She's like an illegal alien. Anyway, VC bowed her head and pondered in silence when asked what advice she would give to young people, especially women today. Okay, now for you women of today that are not stuck on Cardi B, okay, she goes, family is important, okay, along with church, getting an education, and forming friendships, and of course, staying busy. Keep busy and do something for somebody, okay? Half of you can't even do that to get your asses up and get a freaking job, all right? So I am kind of questioning that. But if the main center thing about this whole thing is that she says, be happy, okay? Be happy, be busy, that sort of thing, you know? And it's a good thing, because if you can find yourself busy being happy, then obviously you're happy being busy. And you're not worried about everybody else, you're just worried about your own shit, all right? All right, anyway, I gotta do the good mornings here, get the shout outs this good morning. We've got 2 more new likes. We're at 45. Heidi Gardner, good morning. Walt Jenkins, early good morning. The man, the icon, as they would call him, from the Man Who Remembers show here on KTNG 860am.org. Ktng, good morning. Thanks for the laugh last night. Yes, Donald Trump is bald head in the back. Cheeseburger's bald in the back. So what do you do when you have a bald hamburger? You put mayonnaise on it. Sean Griff, craziest comedian from Ohio, good morning. Benita Tigers, good morning. What's up, Supermom? Eugene Music Founder, good morning. Mark Briggs, good morning. You are alive simply because of prayer. Nothing more. ESQ, Eknikon, Shabaka, keep it alive. Good morning, bro. I play your music every day. All my friends and family out in Iran and Iraq. Dave Taylor, I haven't seen you in about 1 million freaking moons. That's like Universal Zulu Nation, good morning. And of course, everyone around the world. Many prayers to all of us and so forth, but most importantly to all of our children. Tana Mason, good morning. Olivia Walls, good morning. Okay. Glenn Company, good morning. These are my early mornings and so forth. So of course, if you have like heard me yesterday, I was live on the mic all damn day long. Okay. All damn day long. And what did it get me? Not a damn thing. Probably except like, you know, more gray hairs. But we're doing what we're doing here, and that's having fun with our jungle music. Hit it. Yeah. Oh, my God. Anyway, I got to get up out of here. I got a lot of crap to do today. I got to go scream at some people because they sent the wrong damn forms, as usual. And I got to make the, I don't know, breakfast? Perhaps. I don't know. All right. What's happening in, let's see what we got. Oh, yeah. Well, we should be pretty close to like 49, maybe 52 degrees today. I have no idea. But it kind of works out that way. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys for coming through and so forth. For most importantly of anything, remember, people, you know, word is a derogatory word. You know, and most people don't like, you know, realize that there are still some people that have not gotten to the point where there should be no excuse for it. But if you're going to excuse yourself to actually use the word and so forth, remember, do you have your ancestors in the right place when you say these things? Do you understand where your spirit is when you say these things? Or do you just do it because somebody else is doing it and you think it's appropriate?